York University, the place in North England where the wind is incredibly ferocious and the most common topic of debate, is where the Midlands actually is. You see, over the years I've noticed that York cops some flack. People seem to stereotype the people that go there a lot. For example, the tabs seem to think that everybody at York wears around their leavers hoodie. Having said that, the chat up line, which college you in, is surprisingly accurate. But that's besides the point. Today, I'm going to be doing a big review of York University and setting straight all of the wrong stereotypes and explaining exactly what life at York is like. Now, I've recently graduated with an economics and finance degree from York University. I spent 2 years at York, 1 year at University of Sydney in my second year, so I didn't study abroad an extra year. I swapped it. Mad. And obviously the end half of my third year was cut short by COVID. So really, I've only got a year and a half experience at York University. But nevertheless, I'm going to be answering every question that over the years you guys have given me, and I'm going to be giving you a rundown on what life is like at York University. So straight up, the people stereotype. Now, when I tell people that I go to York University, sometimes they're like, oh, well, you must be boring. And I'm not sure where this stereotype came from, but I can assure you it's not true. And the biggest question people ask me is, what are the people like? And the simple answer is at York University, like every university, there's different groups of people that like different things. Now, consider York versus Leeds. Now, York and Leeds are supposedly very different unis, and they are. But it's not as if the type of people at Leeds are exclusively found in Leeds University. There are people like that at York University as well. They're just harder to come by. And what type of people, you ask? Well, I'll let one of you guys explain in the comments down below. So of course, regardless of who you are, you'll definitely make friends at York University, and it's not a problem if you're worried about the people who are going to go there or anything like that. York is a campus uni, which basically means that everything, all your lectures, all your buildings, all your colleges are all on campus. And it's a college uni. So basically there's like 6 colleges, and in your first year everybody stays at college. You have like inter-college sport throughout your whole time at York University, inter-college events, and colleges are just a great way to get to know people, bond with people and stuff like that. So despite being one of the few universities in the UK that have colleges, it's really good. Colleges are ace. I went to James College, loved it, big up, big up. What college would I recommend? I mean, so the two that kind of were the biggest on campus and the most rowdy, James, Derwent. So probably them two. Now in terms of life on campus, University of York is semi-divided into two by a small field essentially. There's Hes East and Hes West. And basically on each of the campuses, there's different colleges and different buildings for different subjects. The side with James and Derwent College is the more busier side and probably the more lively. The newer side is the places with colleges like Constantine and stuff like that. And I think their rep was they're just slightly boring. But once again, stereotypes don't hold true. It'd be good either way, anyone you go to. So that's the college situation, that's the campus situation. I think they're trying to equal out both Hes East and Hes West over time to be equally as lively and busy. The bus is free in between them, you can cycle. I cycled a lot. York is incredibly windy, so if you are cycling, do be prepared to be blown around by a gust of wind. And the campus itself is very, very pretty. Like, it's got one of the biggest lakes, man-made lakes in Europe, which if that floats your boat like it did for me, then perfect, I guess. I did say I was going to swim in there one day and never got round to it. 1,000 likes on this video, I'll go back and swim in it. Sports and stuff like that at York are great. Like, there's so many different things due to the college system that regardless of what level you're at, you can still play into college football. That means you're at probably a lower standard than, let's say, the university football team, but you still get regular games, you still play regular events and regular matches. And there's the social life at York, once again, I think because of the college system, is so great, because every single week on a Wednesday, or when COVID's not here, there'll be socials with your college sports teams, as well as, let's say, the university teams or any other external societies you may join. And as I was saying earlier, people sometimes ask me, what types of societies are there at York? And the simple answer is literally loads of them. Because let's say York is quite a diverse group of people, as I was saying earlier on, everyone's into different things. Basically, there's loads of different societies, movie night, theatre, hummus society, D&D. And then there's the more like gym, powerlifting. Like every uni, there's literally everything. But I feel like the more underground societies, like D&D or hardcore gaming, them societies are semi-big at York. Whereas let's say probably at Leeds University, when you look at per capita, it's economics term there, as in like on average, I would say that York probably has a bigger turnout for the societies that board games and that. So in essence, what I'm saying is that like campus is pretty, it's great. Being on campus really works. The colleges are great for socials, great for meeting people, great kind of experience. Sports, great. Like York itself is honestly a really good university, and in terms of departments, obviously it depends what department you're going to go to. Country lanes, they're the ones I'm chilling in. Got more money than you had been. Phoned up, J-Cell roll. The buildings, unless you're on the newer side of campus, they aren't necessarily brand spanking new, but I mean, who really cares? It's just a lecture hall. You don't really spend too much time in there, so it doesn't really matter about how new the building is. And the quality of teaching, obviously, I can only speak for economics. I thought it was good. I learned lots. I still use economics in everyday life, despite studying professional acting now. So I've got a complete career change. But I always went to university for the experience, for the time, and I do not regret at all studying economics, because you learn so much about life and about just how to think and stuff like that. And the rest of the departments, I mean, I can't really speak for them, but everybody seems fairly happy and content with them. I'm sure you could go on the university rankings and find out all stuff about that. So getting back to debunking some myths about York University, we've debunked the ones about the people and the leavers stereotype. No one wears their leavers hoodie around campus. We're not that type of place. In terms of club nights and events, now during my time at York, there's several different clubs, like clubs for different days of the week. There's no student union club like, let's say, I think Birmingham, places like that. But in terms of availability and different nights out, each club used to have a different night you go to. You'd even mix with, occasionally, if you wanted to, you could turn up to a York St John night. York St John is basically York University's local university partner, shall we say. It's like Leeds and Leeds Beckett sort of thing. So you can, if you want to, turn up to York St John's night, and people are like, oh yeah, York St John night, sick. And I'm like, all right then, let's go. And some people like York St John's night because apparently they feel superior, in their own words. But yeah, there's plenty of availability, or was before these current times, of going clubbing, going to certain events. 6-7 even came to York once, if you know them. That was honestly mad. But yeah, pre-COVID, there was definitely a good variability in terms of nights out, and Wednesday's big social night, dress up, fancy dress, salvos, mad. So yeah, no doubt about it, York's nightlife was good. However, I would say, in all fairness to all these stereotypes that live up, I feel like out of, let's say, York versus Leeds, again, just because they're two local companions, probably the amount of people getting drunk for the first time at uni at York is maybe a tiny bit higher than the amount of people who are getting drunk for the first time at Leeds, but that doesn't really mean much. And on campus events, there's loads of different things. Half the time the on campus events are they're on campus, they're fairly standard, like, didn't really go to too many, but there's always great companies coming around to York's campus. I mean, YouTube came once, I got a cup. Bumble came, you get a cap. Naked Smoothies came, you get loads of smoothies. There's lots of like stuff like that. Campus is very lively and bustling, and there's always people in and out of places. And for example, the library, 24/7, massive library, open all the time, very, very busy. It's good because if you go to somewhere to study, you kind of feel even late at night, you want that collective sort of, we're in the grind. There's a cafe in the library as well. They serve quite good omelettes and food, and have a TV in there to keep up with the news. There is obviously local corner shop, local hairdresser on campus. The local corner shop, Nisa, very overpriced, but apparently the profit gets re-put back into York University, which doesn't make any sense, because we're already paying the university, and by charging us higher food prices if you want to go to the on-campus store, we're effectively paying them more, which I never was really a fan of. But there's a local Aldi, walk through the field, or when you live outside of campus, which you do in second and third year, go into town, go to a local shop, and there's plenty of other options. What else would I say about York? Great connections to Leeds and Sheffield. There's the roses. Roses are white, as you saw in that stereotype, basically. because York versus Lancaster, I think it is, have this big sporting competition that's mad. And well, I'm really selling this, I hope. I'm feeling fairly tired today. I'm very sarcastic in this video, I don't know why. But if I was to reel it in and be serious, what I'm saying is my big review of York University is that York cops an unnecessarily large amount of flack from other people at other universities in the UK. Let me say the people at York and the surrounding York life is much better than people give it credit for. All types of people, all types of events. Yeah, sometimes the stereotypes do live up a tiny bit to the stereotype, they're tiny bit true. But in essence, I don't know why on earth you would want to go to York and then be worried about the people you might meet, or is the campus nice enough? It's a great place. Now obviously, it depends on many other factors what university you'll probably end up choosing, but let me know if you go to York or if you agree with everything that I'm saying. But in essence, yeah, if you go to York, I'm very sure you'll have a great time. Also, a huge thank you to V-Biker for sponsoring today's video. They sent me out this bag that I very much like because it's like a man bag, but it's a bit bigger and it's smaller than a rucksack, which means in a time like right now, where I'm often off campus, on campus, and I don't always want to take a lot of stuff to drama school, I can fit, my necessary papers, my necessary drink in here, and not have to lug around a big bag. Another thing that I like about this bag are the amount of pockets and zips that it has. So obviously it's got a front zip, and it's got a middle zip, and then there's 3 different components where you can put, a paper in or something like that. It's also got a great safe pouch at the back, and it's got a headphone jack and a USB charging port, which once again is just helpful for portability and convenience. So this bag will be linked down in the description below, and there is a discount code for you guys for the first week of this being released for 30% off this V-Biker bag. And once again, thank you to them for sponsoring today's video. And as well at York, they've got very good careers departments and very good opportunities for, let's say, business proposals or studying abroad at Go Global. So although I got rejected, like I put in this business proposal once and I was like, oh yeah, here you go. York took it through their scheme and sent it off to an external surveyor, got the proposal surveyed. They said it was useless. I was like, all right then. But there's good opportunities there to get stuff and business ideas in the works. There's also a great global department who you can go and do summer abroad, years abroad, 6 months abroad, all these different go abroad schemes. I was going to go to Mexico last summer, but it got cancelled, of course. So there's really lots of opportunities in careers, business, and global at York, which I think is great. I'm not sure, I haven't found anyone at any other university who was able to do what I did. I think it may have stopped now in terms of, replacing my second year of study, but that was an opportunity at York that I think is fantastic. If it still runs, maybe it might not be still running. And overall, it's very kind of good vibes, as in it's not too intense, like everyone's not super indie and cool, or everyone's not super roadman, or everyone's not, it's like a mix. Everyone's just like chilling, It's honestly, York is I slap it up, it's a good place. If all your friends are going to different universities across the UK, unless you're really able to convince them, your friends are probably going to say, let's go to York last. And I hear that, I do hear that. But you should battle them, you should fight them and say, no, come to York first. It is a good university, it's a good night out, and it's just proper chill. It's a very chill uni with ways you can branch off into so many different things. I wanted to bring out today's video just as a jokey one on this, the York stereotype, and to say that it is a really good university. I mean, I haven't delved too much into what it's like and everything like that, because I literally vlogged my whole first year and my whole third year for what it was around York campus, and showing you basically what life at York University is like. You can see the accommodation, you can see the campus, you can see the people I was friends with, and see the lovely lakes, see the class and the work I was doing. So if you truly want to get a feel in detail for York University, go click my university vlogs playlist for year 1 and year 3. And if you're interested in Sydney, check out playlist year 2. But York, I promise you, York is a great place. And I'm going to roll a clip right now from what it was like when I left university during lockdown, during COVID times. And this is from a podcast I did recently with my American friend from study abroad called Angela. It was for her university work, where she's doing a podcast on, everybody's different experiences throughout the world during COVID and during the lockdown time. And I think it's quite an interesting one. Also, be sure to check out if you're into editing or want to make your own podcast or social media, you want to learn about that, or YouTube. Check out my Skillshare classes, linked in the description down below. And go follow me on the gram, because I don't know why, I'm just a wannabe influencer, I guess. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again soon.
So since you were in school at the time, I'm guessing, at least for me, COVID really hit the US in March, and I went into quarantine in the first week, the first week of March. When did quarantining start for you, and like when did your country start to
So obviously in the UK, I think there was always a lot of debate around, should we shut off instantly, should we gradually shut off? And to be honest, although it's not even too long ago, I feel like the whole situation, time is obviously moving incredibly slowly, but it's mentioned so much, and so much goes on to do with corona, like lockdown or this or that. It's literally all that's ever talked about that I've kind of forgotten kind of what has actually gone on when it first started. But I remember in around March time that basically we was kind of, when we obviously all knew about corona and stuff like that because it mainly started to break out in January, but I think it was towards the end of March or April time that UK went into official lockdown, and it was a sort of gradual process where slowly and surely at my university, when I was staying in York, people were just slowly dropping off, going home. The lectures were still happening and stuff like that, but there was sort of like these small kind of restrictions that started getting introduced. And then prior to the massive lockdown, there was just a flurry of buildings on campus that closed without any real kind of massive prompt or massive explanation other than corona.
All up in my head, that's how I behave. Passing up the same, waking up the same. All up in my head, that's just how I behave. How I behave.